Good morning. It is October the 30th, the day before Halloween. Good morning to you. I hope you had a great weekend. It was cold and then pretty warm yesterday here, so we split it. We'll start off with our disclaimer. Hypothetical simulated performance results have certain limitations. Unlike an actual performance record, simulated results do not represent actual trading. Also, since the trades have not been executed, the results may have under or overcompensated for the impact of any of certain market factors, such as lack of liquidity. Simulated trading programs in general are also subject to the fact that they're designed with the benefit of hindsight. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profit losses similar to those shown. Anyway, well, I wasn't bothered by football again this weekend. The World Series passed my bedtime last night, but what a game, 12-13, with Houston coming back to win it late. So, back to L.A., and L.A. has to win both of them to get to the World Series, and Houston has to win one. So, well, what drama, right? Right now, this is a huge news week. We've got FOMC on Wednesday. We've got non-farm payroll on Friday, and we have some numbers in between. Today we got personal income plus 0.4, personal spending plus 0.9, core PCE plus 0.1, and Dallas Fed 21.3. The focus should be personal spending, and that's a pretty big number. We don't usually see big jumps like that. Probably some of it will be hurricane induced, which is what we'd expect. So we've got resistance right now at starting at 29, so 28 to the buck is sell 1, 3 to 7 sell 2. The profile shape is leaning B, volume and TPO wise. Maybe a 27 to get in. On the buy side, I started off thinking 20 to 24, but let's make it 17 to 21 with a question mark at 24. And then 9 to 13. A lot of it's going to be dependent upon the news. The news, if as forecast, is negative for financials, positive for indexes, so we'll see if that actually happens. Boy, what a choice of words by the owner of the Texans. The inmates are running the prison. That's with all this stuff going on, all the protests about the police brutality and all this stuff. He might have chosen a different set of words. So anyway, he got all the Texans on their knees for Sunday's game. You know, when you let the genie out of the bottle, it's really hard to put it back in, and the Players Association is definitely leftist. They support leftist causes, right and left. They are victims. They try to get more money, which is okay. I mean, that's their negotiating rights, but they aren't the friend of the league. 20 to 24, number 1. 27.31, sell 1. 3 to 7, sell 2. The news, if as forecast, is negative for treasuries. 8 to 12, number 1. 1 to 5, buy 1. And then 21.25, buy 2. Now, if the news comes in as forecast and the E-mini sells, treasuries then should trade up. So we're kind of stuck, wait to see what's going to happen on the news. Imagine these owners out there that have deferred to everything that the players have done. I mean, it was a good business model, but they've lost 20% of their viewership right now, and they're losing more of that this year. Not a lot of goodwill, and they've gone from America's sport to, I think, the sixth most popular sport in the United States over the last couple of years. So things are not well. And national football, in the National Football League, I saw some pictures again of the stadiums this weekend. A lot of people aren't showing up for the games, even when they're top-ranked teams. How do you lose it with a monopoly? Well, they're finding out, right? 74, 76, sell one for gold. 79.81, sell two. The news, if as forecast, is a negative for the bonds. So structurally, right here, you'll have a buy at 69. Structurally, right there, you'll have a sell at 75. And we'll see how that plays out. So 68 to 70 buy one, picking up where support was. And again, it's a news play. And the E-minis reaction to it. 64, 66 for buy two. And I saw where the owner of the Texans had to meet with Colin Kaepernick and Goodell. Boy, what kind of fun would that be? And what the hell is Colin Kaepernick doing at the meeting anyway? It doesn't get any more bizarre when you start trying to be politically correct and appease all these offended people out there. Okay, the euro inside a trading range. We've got rejection at 16.75. So 16.75, sell one. Looks like we might trade up. 117 even, sell two. On the buy side, 16.50 buy one. 16.25 buy two. Crude oil hung in there pretty well. We will have an OPEC meeting in November. That's the big meeting of the year, in November. The one in either late May or early June is not as big. I believe it's in late May. But my guess is that they're going to roll over the current deal into 2018, and there'll be rhetoric of letting it go for the entire year of 2018, just not for the next 6 months. 54 and a quarter, sell one. Profile is leaning B. 54.50, 54.75, sell two. We're close enough to 55 to get there. The breakout came from 53. So 53 and a quarter, 53.50 buy one, 52.75, 53 buy two. All these people that control these cartels, central banks, governments have learned that rhetorically they can support the market and not have to whip out their checkbook. And they've become masters at this. Talking the market up or talking it down. And with the central banks backing, that's how they've been able to do that. Got the verbiage and the checkbook too. That's hard to argue with. or excuse me, rhetoric would probably be a better description. Okay, the Chinese 19th Party Congress is over. I think it's Xi Jinping is being compared to Mao, the power that he's consolidated. The leader for the next 15, 20 years, the elections will be put aside so he can be in power. All last week, China controlled the press. Very little activity out of China. China's Party Congress is over, back to economics, and some of the economic articles are showing that Chinese economic news will be lower than forecast. China has supported their markets again with another input of $1 trillion yuan. So it's still a very, very highly leveraged economy built on loans, not equity. And in a mercantilist world, mass-produced world, it can be successful for a while. Look at Japan in the 80s when you get these massive runs, like a factory won't even take an order unless it's for 100,000 of this or 100,000 of that. Then that can work. Personal income up 4/10. Personal spending up 9. All these numbers are supported by the stock market. Dallas Fed 21.3. So 75 to 80 is resistance, and 65 to 70 is support. They make us pay up to get long. We've got supportive news, so we'll start out at 70 to 72 by 1, 65, 67 by 2. I'd like to sell against 80, but the first little band of support is going to be 75, so 74, 76, a reluctant sell. And then 79, 81s, we're just leaning against resistance right there and prove us wrong. But 74, 76, based on the news, is a pretty aggressive sell. Okay, it will take a bit to get stuff up and posted. We'll be back for the news release, see what personal income, personal spending does to the markets. We've got FOMC on Wednesday, non-farm payrolls on Friday. That tends to hold the market in check. We'll see if that actually occurs. Back in a bit.